Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rebuild It. We are on the road again. Sing it, Willie. So that means one thing, that's a new project, and this will be the first one that we've had that's not a Solstice or a little convertible roadster in a while. This is actually a muscle car, and depending on if you think the Corvette was a muscle car or not, then this will be the first one we've done. So I'm not going to tell you what it is yet until we actually get there, but we're on the way to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and we're going after work on a Tuesday night and won't get there. We're having an appointment to pick it up on Wednesday morning, so we've got to stay somewhere tonight, probably somewhere around Little Rock, Arkansas. So hopefully we survive the night and we'll catch you in the morning. Well, we made it to Texarkana, Texas last night. Stayed in our luxury suite here, and now we get to go have a big breakfast before we hit the road again. Copart, finally. Well, we are on the queue for Copart. They put you in a virtual line, so you're not up there waiting in line with everybody. You just sit in your vehicle and they send you a text and tell you when it's time to go. So I'm sitting in the car and Paul is sitting in there. Look at this car. Man, there is nothing left of that thing. Well, I guess you could buy it at auction for scrap value. This is the Fort Worth lot. There we are right there. Alright, so here's the car. 392 Hemi SRT Challenger 2015. We'll talk more about it later, but right now I would like to get this window, both windows are down and there's no power to the car. Like I said, we'll go over it a lot more later, but I want to be able to get in it and try to get the batteries in the trunk. So I'd like to get power to it, see if we can get the windows up before we drive 9 hours. So what I'm going to do is pull down that back seat, crawl down the trunk, see if I can pop it from the inside, and then jump it. So this thing has been open in that Texas lot for who knows how long. And I didn't notice we had a busted windshield too. So it is covered in dust in here. All right, so got the seat down. There should be, yeah, there's a little latch right back up there. So I'm gonna get in there and pop that, and then we'll see if we can get to the battery. All right, so I got it popped. I look crazy at this gas station reaching down in there, wiggling back through there, and I hope the sound system is still under this. So this car has no spare tire, only a compressor, and it's got the sound system still in it, so that is awesome. So we'll jump it, see if we can get some power, and see if we can get windows up. So we got lights on. Alright, so we got windows up. We're okay for rain now. The Dodge Challenger has had 3 distinct generations since its debut in the fall of 1969 for the 1970 model year. The first generation was built from 1970 to 1974. Its purpose was to compete with upscale muscle cars like the Mercury Cougar and the Pontiac Firebird. These were more luxurious versions of their sister cars, the Plymouth Barracuda, the Ford Mustang, and the Chevrolet Camaro. In 1970, Challenger buyers had the choice of a coupe or a convertible with the base 6-cylinder engine or one of 8 available V8s. The largest V8 was a 426 Hemi, which was a 7.0 liter with 425 horsepower. Customers also had a large choice of options and colors. By 1972, the engine options had been cut back due to the U.S. oil shortage. The largest engine for that year was the 340 V8. Like many muscle cars, the first generation Challengers are highly prized today, especially the 1970 to 71 cars with the larger engines. Also, like most muscle cars, the Challenger had a generation of duds. The cars of the second generation from 1978 to 1983 were Challengers by name only. They were rebadged versions of the Mitsubishi Galant. The actual full name was the Dodge Colt Challenger. Engine options were a 1.6 or a 2.6 4-cylinder. Needless to say, the oil shortage had taken its toll on our beloved muscle cars. Then, after a 25-year hiatus, we saw the much anticipated return of the Challenger. The car was designed to compete with the wildly popular 5th generation retro Ford Mustang, which was introduced in 2005. The Challenger concept car was introduced at the 2006 North American International Auto Show. The final version released in 2008 was almost identical to the concept car. Mopar enthusiasts went crazy for this new design, and it was an instant success. So much so that the Challenger is still being produced today with much the same body style as the 2006 concept car. The biggest changes in the 3rd generation Challenger have been under the hood. As in the 1970 to 71 cars, there were and are many engine and trim levels to choose from. The engines kept getting more powerful year after year. By 2015, the year of our Challenger, these were the available trim levels. In the V6, you had an SXT or an SXT Plus, which both had 305 horsepower in the 3.6 V6. On the V8 side, there was the RT, the RT Plus, and the RT Shaker. And the RT Plus Shaker, all these had the 372 horsepower 5.7 Hemi. Then you went to the RT Scat Pack, the RT Scat Pack Shaker. Both had a 485 horsepower 6.4 liter. And then we see our car, the SRT 392, is the same engine as the Scat Packs, but it also included Brembo brakes, upgraded wheels, and the interior. Then the mighty Hellcat was the top of the line, was the SRT Hellcat, was a 707 horsepower 6.2 liter Hemi, supercharged. As you can see, Dodge almost overwhelms with available trim options. Add in colors and interior choices, and you can really make your Challenger all you. Dodge continues to increase power in the Challenger. At the time of this video, the latest and most powerful is the 2021 SRT Superstock at 807 horsepower with a supercharged 6.2 liter. Alright, so we finally made it home. This is the next day. That was a long trip, a lot of driving. Not as bad as New York, but still a long time. So I'll finally have some time to explain what this car is. So what we've got is a 2015 Dodge Challenger SRT with the 392 version. Here's our 392 Hemi in here, and like I told you at the salvage yard, this thing, I mean, that place is just dust. The whole salvage yard is dust, so everything in this thing is covered in it, and the windows were down the whole time with plastic over it, so a lot of it blown inside, so it's going to take a whole lot of cleaning on the interior. And it's just covered in dust, but you know, clean it, and all the dash is getting replaced because of the airbag there. So we've got a blown airbag on the wheel, a blown airbag on the dash. It's got the SRT Alcantara seats. I think they're heated and cooled. There's a bunch of spare parts in the back seat. Here's where I crawled through at the gas station to get the trunk open. And I've had it charging overnight, so it's still not even started taking the charge yet. It's got Brembo brakes, slotted rotors all the way around. I think it's got the big piston Brembos on the front, yeah. I don't know how many pistons those are, but they're humongous brakes. And hopefully all that all cleans up. So everything's just so filthy. I can't see any damage on the sides and the only damage on the back, which I'll have to look in our pictures of when we bid on it, but this is all forklift stuff. Man, that just makes you so mad, you know. You get it, and there was no damage on the back, and then they're just not careful with those forklifts, and they beat them up. You got one tail light that's lower than the other one over there. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I mean, there's no damage on the sides at all. The gaps are right. Even the gap right here is good. I did not know that the windshield was busted, but there it is. So that's another couple $100 or $300 that we got to replace that. The fenders, there's some scratch. It's not even a scratch. Looks like we just got a little bit of damage right here. So, and I think this stuff is like tri-coat paint. I'm not sure what all is involved in that. Hopefully Mike knows how to deal with it, but man, it's got a lot of metallic flake in it, or pearl or something. And this one has a K&N aftermarket cold air intake. And when I was on the auction looking at this thing, it's, you know, it's listed as a non-runner. Well, that's because everything's just smashed up against all the pulleys and stuff. So we're gonna have to pull, either take this support, probably just take it off because it's just bolted on there. We'll take this support off, try to pull all this radiator stuff back off in front of the motor. And you can see from up here, we've got just a little bit of frame damage, just bent just right there at the end a little bit. And hopefully we can straighten that ourselves, I hope. But we'll see. But anyway, so when I saw this on the auction, I went ahead and ordered a throttle body. So I've got that here. I've got a broken belt, or I don't know if it's broken or not, but it's off. And I've got one of those here. So hopefully we can just get some space in there, pull all this up off the motor, and change the belt and the throttle body and start it. That's what I hope. Check for oil. Oh yeah, got another little bit of damage right here. So the big thing is I'd like to go ahead and hook up to this somehow and pull this crash bar back out enough to get you know, it's better to pull it from the same direction it was hit first, and maybe that'll help pull our frame rails back on both sides enough to get some space back in there. Also, here's the stuff that just came with it that was tore off. Like, I actually unhooked the headlights, but they're both destroyed. And I'm sure they're expensive, but don't know if the chin spoiler will be savable or not. It might be. See, we got fog lights, we got side marker lights. Those are all expensive. Looks like the grill is tore up in there. So we'll need a bumper grill for sure. Headlights. That's it. So we'll see what we need to do to get get it to where we can get it started and run, and then get it off the trailer. So here's where I am now. I've got the upper radiator support off and took lots of pictures, see where all the bolts were put, and I put all the bolts back in the hole so I don't forget. So this thing is really crammed up against this crash bar. I went ahead and took off the AC lines going to the condenser. I got these two here with these rear clips. I got to go get a little pick to get those clips out, and then I'm not sure that I can wiggle that thing out and get it out. It's in there so tight, but that's what I'm gonna try to do first, get this condenser out, and then see if I can get the radiator out enough to get some room behind it to get it started, because obviously there's no antifreeze in the reservoir over here, so that means it's leaked out somewhere. So I don't know if the bottom hose is off, or if these radiators have a plastic side on them. They could be cracked and it leaked out, or who knows what. So it's probably just gonna end up getting all that out of the way. All right, so I got the AC lines off, and then I remembered these are either oil or transmission cooler lines. I think oil. This is a split system. It does the condensers down here for the AC, and then this top part is just this little piece up here is either, I think it's oil cooler. So somehow I'm gonna have to leave this connected, or I'm gonna have oil shooting everywhere. So I'll try to get this off and just kind of like fold it up. I think these lines are somewhat flexible. Maybe I can lay it up at the top or something, strap it on there somehow so it doesn't squirt oil. So we'll just keep moving here. All right, there's no way to get that out without getting this crash bar off. It's just too packed in there. So I really wanted to be able to hook a strap behind that, but I'm not even gonna be able to strap behind there to get it pulled out with a forklift or something. I'm gonna go ahead and get a Sawzall, hopefully, and just cut through here, and then try to get a bar in there on this side and do it one side at a time, twist this side out, and then go over to that side, twist that side out as much as I can, hopefully get a couple inches in there where I can get all the cooler stuff out so I can get back behind it. All right, so I got shaken baby syndrome cutting that crash bar there. Man, that jerked me to death. So finally got it off and left enough on there to pull it, hopefully. But that was the only way I could get this out. So here's what's behind it. The belt's not cut, but I went ahead and got a new belt, but it's just got knocked off of there when it pushed in. And it looks like our tensioner, I think there's supposed to be a belt tensioner right here. I think that's broke. So I'll have to order one of those before we can do anything else. And there was still antifreeze in the radiator, so it's not leaking. Although it's, in bad shape, we'll get a new one, but that's good for moving it around here. We can just hook this hose back up and get some more antifreeze in there. And although for some reason it's not in the reservoir, so I don't know where it went. But anyway, we'll test that. We'll hook this one back up and get some fluid in there, and when we start it, we can at least drive it around without worrying about it getting hot. Well, guys, thanks for watching this episode of Rebuild It. Sorry that's all the time we've got for this episode, but hopefully next week we'll get to hear it start for the first time. I'm really looking forward to that. And if you did enjoy it, I ask that you give us a thumbs up down below and share us with your friends, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.